How you guys doing? I got a bunch of movies here that I watched recently and I wanted to talk about for a minute. And I haven't done it yet, so I'm just going to pull out this last one up here and we're going to get into this. Let's start with the first one I watched, which is Love and Mercy. Now, I picked this movie up at, where did I pick this up? I picked this up at a Comic Con, and this guy had a bunch of stands of Blu-rays, digging through them, and I found some really good titles in there. And this one I was kind of looking at, wasn't sure, but I picked it up because the guy said, "Hey, if you like the Beach Boys, it's a really good biopic movie." And I do love the Beach Boys, so I picked this up. I watched it, and I thought this was absolutely awful. First of all, the main leads didn't really capture the spirit of the Beach Boys to me. It didn't really feel like a Beach Boys biopic. It felt very generic and just bland. And I've really been debating, should I keep this? I thought, should I keep it because I'm a Beach Boys fan, but I really think this just needs to go because this is just shelf space of awfulness that I don't need to keep around. So there's that. Then I watched American Tail 1 and 2. I've watched the first one before, and I absolutely adore this movie. I'd never seen it in high definition though. I used to have this movie on DVD as a kid, watched it all the time, and then for whatever reason, hadn't seen it in multiple years, so I sat down, watched it, and this movie really does hold up. It's fantastic. This is definitely one of Don Bluth's best movies. The story is great. I really like its kind of imagery of basically, uh, you know, like immigrants coming to America and during the early 19th century. Uh, so kind of just like what that means, and like kind of relating that to mice is interesting, and it's got some really good music in it. Somewhere out there, classic song. There are no cats in America, so it's just a really good movie. The Blu-ray is not expensive; it's $10. I absolutely love this movie. Look great in high definition. So then I watched the sequel, Five Goes West. Because I had heard mixed things about this sequel. There are some people who swear by this movie that it's great, just as good as the first movie, and then there's other people who say it's absolutely awful, and I kind of fall in the middle. Here's the thing: as an American Tail sequel, I think this movie's awful because Fievel, from the first minute of this movie, pretty much does not learn his lesson. His father's calling him, going, Fievel, come back, you're going to get into trouble. That's what happened in the first movie, and now we're doing it again. And it's just not very good. The Western aesthetic of this movie, though, is fun, and if you take this movie as a fun Western movie and not an American Tail sequel, it's fun, and the animation is good, and it looked all right in high definition. So there's that. I watched Barnyard, and now this is one I'd seen many times before on DVD, but this first time I watched it on Blu-ray. And I did see a noticeable difference on Blu-ray, but not a huge one. And I don't regret upgrading because A, it saves the space. Blu-ray looks better, but it's also kind of a thing of like, well, this movie doesn't really show huge signs of improvement. It's not the greatest looking movie, but definitely one that looks better on Blu-ray. And you should definitely upgrade if you are a fan of that movie. The movie itself is not very good. Kind of had a hard time sitting through it, rewatching it this time, to be honest, but I'm still happy I have that. Chicken Little, this is a Disney movie that I seen many times as a kid, actually liked as a kid, and now obviously I don't. I bought it on Blu-ray though, because I want to own every Disney animated movie, so I bought this one. This is an awful, awful movie. It's very mean-spirited, and I don't think the dad is as awful as a character as some people really make him out to be in this movie. But I do think there is just this mean spirited tone to this movie that I just really don't like. And yeah, I just can't stand it. Let's get in these last. Stuart Little. I bought this at a Big Lot. It's been I hadn't seen this in a few years, and I gotta say, I was surprised. I really did like this movie. I thought this is a movie that wouldn't hold up, and I wouldn't really like now that I'm older. But I did really like it because it's there's this movie's ridiculous. Like these people adopt a mouse. Okay, it's ridiculous, but the actors and the team behind this movie and the score to this movie really put their all into this damn movie, and it really comes across really charming, kind of sweet, and I really like that about this movie. I think it's a lot of kind of just so sweet and like wonderful as a movie that I couldn't help but just kind of like go, all right, I'm with you, even if you're not the greatest movie and you're kind of ridiculous. Then I watched Anchorman 2, which a lot of people said was awful. I'd never seen it before. I watched Anchorman 1, absolutely enjoyed Anchorman 1, but this one, I didn't hate it. I just think that it was very, like, it had definitely a few laughs that really got me. But, part of the first movie was that you had the Will Ferrell's character was someone who was lonely. He wanted companionship. It was something that people you could kind of relate to, and he learns to be a better person and less of an insensitive and rude douchebag. And he's still kind of a rude douchebag, but less of one, and focus less on his career, and be better for his partner. And they end up together. And in this movie, they have a kid and they split up. And that's not really what you want in a sequel. You don't want characters that got together and are happy to split up and be like, all right, we're done. And it really makes the characters in this movie seem incredibly unlikable and just bad. And it's just not a very funny movie. Not a very fun movie. Kind of a lot more mean spirited than the first one. Then I watched Harold and Kumar Goes to White Castle, and the sequel. I never seen these movies before. I don't know. They're not really movies I loved. They're kind of like, okay, they're these movies about kind of like two guys who smoke and do drugs and stuff, and they're going to get White Castle, and they're just kind of like, I don't know. There's those kind of like comedies, like stoner comedies, and this is just not one of the greatest ones. It's just kind of like a fun enough one, and I would watch it again, but I feel like it'd be like at a party with a bunch of people. We could just laugh and point at it. It wouldn't be something I watch again on my own, but still, it's fun enough. So there's that. So yeah, this might be a series I do from now on. I'm gonna maybe like make this a series where I just go through a bunch of movies I watched recently. Can't really necessarily make videos about like just mini reviews of stuff. But let me know your thoughts, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.